All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're heading back to 17th century India.
Ooh, always a fascinating period.
Definitely. And we're focusing on, you guess it, Shivaji Maharaj.
The founder of the Maratha Empire.
Exactly. But we're going deeper than just the warrior king label, right?
Absolutely.
We've got these excerpts from a historical text, kind of a deep dive into his life, his rise to power, and how he impacted India. And, we'll even get into some of those debates about his legacy, all that good stuff.
It's a story full of twists and turns, that's for sure. He was a real product of his time.
Oh, yeah, totally. It was a time of huge empires, right? The Mughals being the big one.
Massive.
But then you've got all these smaller kingdoms like Bijapur, all vying for power.
And caught in the middle, well, that's where you find Shivaji.
Right, born in 1627, right in the thick of it all.
A time of incredible upheaval.
Exactly. And then, of course, you've got to talk about his mother, Jijabai.
Oh, she's a key figure, isn't she?
For sure. Our source paints her as this super strong-willed woman, really religious.
And let's be honest, not a fan of the Mughal Empire one bit.
No, not at all. That dislike for the Mughals, that sense of Maratha pride, she instilled all that in Shivaji from a young age.
Imagine being a child listening to your mother tell stories of Maratha heroes.
Right.
Knowing that your people had this long history, this rich culture, but were under the control of this powerful empire. She definitely shaped his worldview.
Almost like planting a seed of rebellion early on.
Oh, absolutely.
But it wasn't all fiery speeches and rebellions, was it? He also had this guardian, the Daji Kandadev. More on the practical side of things.
Right. Kandadev focused on the how-to of leadership. He provided training in administration, warfare, the real nuts and bolts of running a state.
Like the hands-on teacher.
Exactly.
Jijabai, the inspiration, and Kandadev, the pragmatist.
Both essential for shaping a future leader.
A pretty incredible foundation for Shivaji, right?
Okay.
But how does he go from, young noble to a king who's taking on these huge empires?
Well, it's a gradual process.
The source mentions that he started by capturing these hill forts for the Bijapur Sultanate. They controlled a big part of the Deccan Plateau, right?
So the Deccan Plateau was key, strategically and economically.
Why were these forts so important?
Control, my friend, control.
Hmm.
They controlled trade routes, resources. Think of them like controlling the major highways and supply chains of the time.
Ah, okay, so taking those forts, it wasn't just about land.
No, it was about strategically weakening Bijapur and strengthening his own position. It was a brilliant move.
So strategic thinking right from the start. And it's interesting that the source says he wasn't just fixated on military victories. He focused on administration, setting up efficient revenue systems.
Bringing talented people on board?
Yeah, like he was thinking about building a whole state, not just an army.
Exactly. He understood that a lasting kingdom needed more than just military might. It needed solid governance, a way to keep things running smoothly, and the people content.
It's remarkable how he managed all of this, while navigating the whole Mughal situation, dealing with other regional powers. The source talks about his relationships with them being constantly in flux. Sounds exhausting.
Imagine the political maneuvering, the alliances shifting, the betrayals. It was a high-stakes game, for sure.
But that was his reality, right? Always playing this delicate game, exploiting weaknesses, forging alliances when it suited him. All with this ultimate goal of an independent Maratha kingdom.
Always working towards that.
So Shivaji's playing this high-stakes game with the Mughals, trying to carve out his own space. But he's also got this deep spiritual side.
Yeah, his spirituality wasn't just like a personal thing. It was tied to his political goals, right?
Totally. He wanted to create this place where Hindus could flourish, without oppression. It must have resonated with a lot of people at the time.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Remember, the Mughal Empire was huge, powerful, but not exactly known for its tolerance towards other religions. So when you combine Shivaji's message of Hindu autonomy with, his actual military successes, well, he became this symbol.
A symbol of hope.
Exactly, for those looking for a different kind of leader.
Okay, so let's talk about those military successes.
Let's get into the tactics.
The source really highlights his military tactics, particularly his mastery of guerrilla warfare.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the Western Ghats.
Oh, the Western Ghats. Such a fascinating landscape. You've got rugged terrain, dense forests, perfect for ambushes, surprise attacks.
Right.
Shivaji's forces, they knew that land so well, and they used it to their advantage. They would strike quickly, disappear.
And the larger armies.
Left clueless. They were baffled. Where did they go?
Like a classic David and Goliath, right?
Yeah.
Agility and smarts over just brute force.
Exactly. He knew he couldn't win a head-on fight with, say, The Mughals or Bijapur, right.
Right.
He had to be smarter, more adaptable, faster. He was a master at finding their weaknesses and, boom, exploiting them.
Any specific examples come to mind?
Oh, plenty. Timing, for instance. He was a master of timing.
Oh.
He'd attack when his enemies were already dealing with internal problems, revolts, succession disputes, you name it.
Oh, so smart.
Keep them off balance.
And alliances.
Oh, he was a master of temporary alliances.
Yeah.
Just to keep everyone guessing.
So he's not just commanding troops, he's inspiring people. Right.
Right.
Getting talented individuals to join his cause. It takes more than just military skill to do all that.
100%. It's about leadership, vision, and charisma.
The source mentions a few key figures who helped him along the way. Anyone who really stands out.
Well, you can't talk about Shivaji without mentioning Tanaji Malasari.
And Naji Malusar, I've heard that name.
Right. A close friend of Shivaji's, almost like a brother, and an incredible military commander in his own right, famous for his capture of Kandana Fort, a super strategic stronghold near Pune.
That's the one. Wasn't there something tragic about that story?
Tragically, yes, Tanaji was killed during the battle. It was a turning point, though. The victory paved the way for further expansion of the Maratha territories.
A true turning point.
But, at a cost.
You can only imagine losing a friend like that.
Yeah,
But it really shows the kind of fierce loyalty he inspired, right?
absolutely. And it wasn't just Tanaji. Another key figure, Bahirji Naik, Shivaji's chief of intelligence.
Intelligence.
Spy master, gathering info on enemy movements, even sneaking into their courts.
Wow, espionage.
Espionage was key. Shivaji understood. Information is power. Always has been.
And always one step ahead.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about his, military skills, political maneuvering. But what about Shivaji as a ruler?
Yes.
What kind of legacy did he leave in terms of, actually governing administration?
So this is where we see the other side of Shivaji, the builder. Not content with just conquering, he wanted to establish a well-run, prosperous state.
Not just power for the sake of power.
No, he had this vision.
A vision for a flourishing, functional kingdom.
Exactly. He introduced a new revenue system, fairer than the Mughal one,
Yeah.
and he focused on boosting agriculture, trade. He got it. A strong economy means a strong state.
Long-term thinking.
Thinking about his people.
Ahead of his time.
He understood that true power wasn't just military strength or land. It was about the system, making a system that worked for everyone. A society, where people felt safe, invested in its success.
Fascinating how he balanced it all. The warrior, strategist, administrator, the leader. And we're just getting started.
Oh, there's so much more to uncover.
We've seen Shivaji's military genius, his political savvy, but as we get into the later part of his reign, things get, a bit more complicated.
Yeah, the empire's growing, but now there are challenges closer to home, family drama.
The source talks about this tension with his son, Sambhaji.
Oh, Sambhaji, a complicated figure.
Yeah, and it's more than just a father-son squabble. This was a power struggle.
Sambhaji, he was ambitious, maybe even a little rebellious, you could say. They clashed a lot. At one point, Sambhaji even defected to the Mughals.
Wow. Talk about a betrayal. I mean, that's a huge blow.
Politically and personally.
Makes you wonder, was it more than just youthful rebellion?
Oh, I think so. Probably a lot of factors. Maybe Sambhaji felt stifled, wanted to prove himself. Plus, you always have those factions in the court, right?
Oh, always whispering in his ear.
Exactly. Some might have seen Sambhaji as a way to, weaken Shivaji.
It's like a whole Shakespearean drama playing out alongside the empire building. Personal ambition, political intrigue, never a dull moment.
And of course, the Mughals, they saw an opportunity.
Oh, yeah, they would.
A chance to destabilize things. They offered Sambhaji support, even encouraged him to rebel against his father.
Talk about psychological warfare. Shivaji's got a rebellious son, and the Mughals are fanning the flames.
It's intense.
He was under immense pressure, constantly facing threats from every direction.
And yet, amidst all this, you have this huge moment. Shivaji's coronation in 1674, officially crowned Chhatrapati.
More than just a ceremony.
Yeah. It was a declaration of independence, a symbolic break from the Mughals. Think of it, this grand event steeped in tradition, and there's Shivaji, the ruler of this new independent Maratha kingdom.
A powerful message.
For everyone.
It must have been incredible for the Maratha people, seeing their leader, this symbol of resistance, finally a king in his own right.
A moment of pride. But even with this triumph, his later years, they were marked by this weariness, I guess you could say. He'd achieved so much, but the fight was never over.
And then in 1680, he dies. Relatively young, just 52.
Yeah.
What happened then? Was it chaos?
The succession, oh yeah, it was turbulent. Sambhaji eventually did take over, but as you can imagine, it wasn't smooth sailing. He had opposition within the court, and the Mughals, well, they saw their chance.
Shivaji's gone, there's this power vacuum.
Everyone wants a piece.
And Sambhaji, with his history, not exactly unifying figure.
True. But here's the thing. Shivaji's impact, it went beyond any one ruler. He created this strong, independent Maratha state.
With its own identity, a real sense of self-reliance.
And that spirit of resistance, he instilled that.
So even though he wasn't there, the fight continued.
It was his legacy.
He wasn't just a king, he was a legend. And that vision of an independent Maratha kingdom, it inspired generations.
It did.
We've covered a lot, haven't we? Shivaji, the brilliant military mind, the savvy politician, the devout Hindu. He was a visionary leader who built an empire.
He was.
A complex figure, always adapting, overcoming incredible obstacles. His story reminds us that history isn't simple. It's messy, full of surprises and individuals who defy easy labels. And Shivaji, he was one of a kind.
He was.
So what can we take away from this deep dive? I think it's this. Even in the midst of chaos, people can make a difference. You can stand up for what you believe in, fight for something bigger than yourself, inspire others to do the same. And that's a story always worth remembering.